Can't be. 0 files found. It can't find canyon.mid. This is... I don't think I can do this video. Welcome to the Toshiba Satellite 205 CDS. This is a laptop I picked up where else at the thrift. Apparently Toshiba has the world's best-selling portable computers. This particular one has a 100 MHz Pentium, 11.3-inch display with 800 by 600 resolution. Whatever Zoom video technology is, I think that's just to stretch 640 by 480 and below on the LCD, although I haven't screwed with that at all. 10 megabyte hard disk drive equals 772. I guess that's just the difference between the ways of counting the disk space. An integrated AC adapter, which is kind of neat because this is all I need to plug this computer in. It just has the standard 2-prong at the rear, and it's ready to go. Note dock expandability, I do not have that. 6x CD-ROM. Strangely enough, this, I believe this is a 1997 era, 96, 97 era, because it's Pentium. It has no floppy drive, none whatsoever. It probably had an external, which is probably what this expandable port's for, but it does not have a floppy drive. This is kind of neat. This is actually a flash card out of an Apple Newton, which I have 2 of, and they may be subject to further TechThings videos. I just don't know if I want to do one on the Newton because there have been so many videos on the Newton already, and it's well-trod ground, and I don't really want to. I want to do unique stuff. I know that not everything can be unique. The battery's obviously dead on this, unless it's all of a sudden decided to charge. I've used this laptop extensively, mostly to play old video games on. So let's go ahead and power it on. We'll let this boot up, and we'll get to the subject of our video. Well, okay, it doesn't want to power on apparently. And I get this every once in a while. It's because I unplugged it. It was ready to go. Once I get the green light there, I didn't like that either. I had this going a minute ago. Come on, guys, let's get this together. There, the green light. Yeah, usually when I get the orange light, that means it's not going to come up for me. This has an install of Windows 95 on it. That is at copyright 1986, so that's when the BIOS at least was minted. This has an install of Windows 95 on it that is ponderously slow. It has, I think, 64 megs of RAM, if that. I'm honestly talking out of my rear end there because I don't know what it has right now. This is a computer that I pulled out from under my bed, basically, because I needed a Windows 95. I needed a 1995-96 era computer for the flash drivers. I needed it for this. This is something I picked up that is sealed. It is the X10 ActiveHome home automation system, wireless home automation system, if you believe that. Isn't that a wonderful sound? That's just awesome. I love that. I miss that startup sound. And I had to put the classic clouds background. This laptop does not have anything but a nipple mouse. It does not have a touchpad, which is kind of annoying. It has some nice speakers, well, a nice speaker anyway. It sounds alright. It's a little bit tinny, but all of these old laptop speakers were. The sound in these computers was an afterthought, honestly, because it was not... We were getting into the gimmicky era of multimedia computing, with the MPC specifications coming out on these older laptops, mandating a certain amount of audio and video capability on these computers, because previously computers just didn't come with sound cards. They just didn't. You had to add them, or you just went without, which a lot of people did. We didn't have a sound card in our first computer at all. It was a 286. Oh, no. Excuse me, I'm talking into my rear end again. Our first real computer was a 386 Pentium. Excuse me, a 386 Pentium, a 386 processor. It did not have sound card at all, so we made do with the PC speaker when we gamed, and that was not very often. I think honestly, we only had a computer in those days because my mother used Quicken. She did all of her checking on Quicken. We probably have a save file from Quicken that dates back to about 1997. My first computer, real Windows 95 computer, was a Pentium 133 megahertz. Actually, it was a 120, and we overclocked it to 133. It was pretty hardcore. It was a Packard Bell. It was a bad little computer. We upgraded the hard drive, the RAM, which required some extensive work from what I remember. I remember a lot about that PC that was weird. Packard Bells were non-standard. They were honestly terrible computers. But it has a certain level of nostalgia associated with it. So, as you can see here, this laptop is probably a very poor refresh rate on the display. And I clicked the start menu a minute ago, and it's still thinking about it. So, this may require me to pull out the ThinkPad I have underneath the. You may notice there are two of the WX808 tape decks sitting here. Strangely enough, I went to the thrift around my house, whereas I told you I got this in Toledo. The top one is the old one. The bottom one I found in a local thrift, exact same model, and I thought it was pretty rare when I found it, but apparently it wasn't, because it has the exact same problem too. I plugged it in. I think the belt's hosed on both decks, but this one is in much better condition visually. It doesn't have all this junk here, but as we saw in the last video, the metal top is brand new. So I'm going to combine them to make one good one. Anyway, the start menu on this one has now decided to grace us with its presence, and if I can find the mouse, I will ignore the start menu because I didn't really want that to begin with. Come on. All right, there you go. I love the 256 color display. If you're noticing a little bit of some audio weirdness, I have a microphone that I'm using here with a UX1 preamp, so we'll see how that works. I'm not terribly confident because there's a lot of fluctuation, because if I move further away, it gets a little worse. I may need to put some equalizing, some compression on this. But anyway, so I was incorrect, gravely incorrect. This has 8 megabytes of RAM, and I don't know that I have any more. So, but we'll soldier on. So we have the X10 ActiveHome system, which included in the box. We'll take a look at the packaging before we rip it open. Includes the following components: the super remote to turn off and on lights and appliances connected to compatible X10 modules. Controls most brands of TVs, VCRs, cable boxes, satellite, DSS, and more. That's interesting because it looks like a sort of a universal remote deal. And, you know, if it's almost like a precursor to the Harmony series from Logitech, which I have several of and very much appreciate the ability to go online and download codes for them via USB. This is obviously not that robust, but ActiveHome software on CD-ROM. When I first grabbed this laptop, I was upset to see that it did not have a floppy drive, because I assumed that this would not have a CD-ROM in the box, but as you can see, it does. Computer interface CM11A connects to your PC and sends signals over your existing house wiring to control lights and appliances connected to X10 modules. I don't see a mention of a card, an expansion card, so I'm very glad that this has serial because I'm assuming it communicates via serial. I am not sure. If it has a USB, we're out of luck because this laptop does not have a USB port. Keychain remote, I'm interested in this because that's really cool if I can turn my lights on and off from outside. And it says, anywhere inside or outside your home, a pocket-sized remote lets you control lights and appliances and activate programmed commands. I bought this, it was very, very cheap. I bought this assuming that it would probably be useless in a modern setup, but we'll see. Transceiver appliance module RR501 receives wireless RF signals and transmits them onto your house wiring to tell the computer interface to activate the pre-programmed commands that you set. That's a mouthful, but it's interesting. Excuse my wound there. I worked on my car before I shot this, so it claimed a chunk of my flesh. Lamp module LM465 turns lights on or off and even dims incandescent lights rated up to 300 watts. That just looks like a normal house timer, a normal outlet timer, so I'm sure it does more. But we'll take a look at the back of this. Come on, guys. All right. Finally, an affordable PC-based wireless home automation system. Finally, I've been waiting for one of these. Yeah, that remote control looks pretty robust. For a remote control with one of these systems, I guess. The keychain remote looks pretty cool. Automate your entire house, basically, it says. I'm not going to read all this junk. It bores me just to look at it. I'd rather rip this open and see what we can do with it. This product is compatible with most models of the following brands. Satellite DSS systems, home automation. Most of those companies are still in business. Do I know if they make home automation systems? No. Little bit of water damage and crumpling down here, but I'm sure that's not going to be a big deal. The best part is 15-minute hassle-free setup, toll-free support 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Drag and drop, point and click software enables you to easily automate your home. Software included works with Windows 95 and Windows 3.1. We got that covered. Windows 95. Expandable, 256 electrical devices in your home. What home has that many outlets? Unless you're stringing friggin' surge protectors together, which is not fire code safe. I'm not sure you're going to get even close to that. And I would imagine that they would be it would be some sort of conflict, but I don't know how this works. X10, I believe, is some sort of standard. I'm not familiar as to what that denotes, but I didn't look anything up. I'm coming to this completely cold. Best of all, it's new. So, and it is actually new. It's new old stock, I guess you would say. Anything cool on the bottom or the top? No. So, let's have some fun. Let's rip this open. This is very sort of crinkly plastic. It's not sort of the very light plasticky plastic. This is crinkly. I suppose I could speak very, very quietly and make an ASMR video out of it. But I'm not going to do that. The best part of that is it does not compress at all. Box feels pretty good, solid. It's got one of these dealies on it. I hate these, because especially now, since the packaging is probably shrunk just a tiny bit. It's tight. Okay, styrofoam, pretty standard. I don't have a tripod for this. I'm going to get a selfie stick and grab the top off of it and toss it on my normal tripod. I just don't have the I wanted to get this going because there hasn't been a new video in a while, and I apologize about that, but haven't had too much time, honestly. Alright. Hi, remote. Alright, so we have remote. The, let's see, let me take a look on the box here. So that is the computer interface module, lamp module, radio controller system, some new old stock batteries, which are likely, I'm surprised they have not leaked. Did not appear to be leakage. And the CD-ROM. I'm not seeing a serial cable. Serial to what's probably an RJ45 or RJ11 rather. Yep, that's an RJ11 jack. Just a standard phone jack, which is kind of cool. Which means I won't need an interface card, and I can just plug it right into the laptop, which is good. So this is actually probably a pretty good laptop to test with because it's not decked out. It's just a basic, laptop. So we have the probably the warranty card here. It's got some sort of deal. Oh yeah, 1 year limited warranty. From the time of opening, can I get a defect repair? Probably not. Please take time to fill out and mail the attached prepaid warranty registration card. Mailing this card will put you on our mailing list, and no, I don't want to be on your mailing list. CK11A kit errata. On the inside of the CD sleeve, the instructions say to double-click on setup.exe. This should say double-click on intro.exe. Bastards. On page 36 of the ActiveHome Owner's Manual, step 6 says to click on the setup icon. This should say click on intro.exe. You guys had one job. Note, if you have auto-run enabled, intro.exe will launch automatically. Please also see the README file in the ActiveHome CD, blah, 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 blah. So, they screwed up, basically. Which is kind of neat that they were able to toss that in. Is there more? There's more to this. They screwed more than just the intro.exe up. On page 24 and 25 of the ActiveHome Owner's Manual, there's a list of codes for satellite receivers. Actually, the only codes that can be programmed under the SAT key are DSS codes. All other satellite codes must be programmed under the cable key. Well, following DSS codes can be found under the SAT key, blah, blah, blah. All others are set up under the cable key. If you want to control a cable box, you'll need to set up under the aux key. Wait, so the cable key is for the satellite receivers only. Yeah, because the SAT key only sets up DSS. All other codes shown up are for the cable key. So, if you have a cable box, you have to set it under the aux key. That's confusing. That's just not very fun. Oh, wait. An auxiliary and press and release cable. Okay, so it's more confusing than it needs to be, basically. So, important software notice. If you do not have a CD drive, you can download the latest ActiveHome software free of charge from the X10 website. That's pretty cool. Or you can call blah 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 to obtain software on 3.5-inch discs. Who would do that? Old people would probably do that. I need that software on floppies, damn it. Battery installation. When you first install the batteries in the interface, or whenever you change the batteries, you must select battery life from the configuration menu and select change. If you don't do this, you will be advised every time you turn on your computer that you need to replace the batteries in the interface. So it's like the oil change light in your car. You cannot change your oil and have it know that you changed your oil, because it's not very smart. So here's the CD. Creates a graphical representation of your modules on the screen, creates schedules of timed events, uses macros that control groups of modules at a specified time, or when you activate them from any X10 controller, defines schedules that make your home look lived in while you're away, creates print reports of timed events and macros you've set up. So, we know that's incorrect. Double-click setup.exe. What jerks. There's something more than the CD in here. It feels like there's a space or a manual or something. So, put the power of your computer to work. And it's a CD. You can see my phone there in the reflection. that aside. This is a pretty thick manual. So that's for the whole thing. I guess it's a CK11A. So yeah, that's all in English. So we're gonna go over that. We'll probably need to come back to that. Let's check out this remote. Pretty substantial feeling, actually. Remote model UR19A 6-in-1 RF universal remote control, which is nice. Obviously, it has the IR, but if it's RF, you don't need to point it directly at the module. So we'll come back to that. Oh wow! So there's the RJ11 jack, and these are pretty nice, actually. Pretty nice little modules. Very hefty. AAA back. What? Why does something you plug into the wall need batteries? I guess if you lose power, it can still do what it's supposed to do, but your computer wouldn't be on, so how is it gonna? I don't know. There's probably some more depth to this system that I'm really putting thought into at the moment, so we'll set that aside. And that must be why there's over 9,000 sets of batteries in here, because this, I would assume this would only need 2, yet there's what looks like 6 batteries. Yeah, 3 sets of 2. So I was trying to see if there's any underneath. Here's the transmitter, which has a little antenna on the side, actually. That's kind of neat. Unit 1 or Unit 9? Okay. Clicky buttons. And there's probably a tool in here somewhere to switch that. I would imagine they would not put a tool in there that you can switch that with. Looks like the antenna is removable. So that's kind of cool. And here's the lamp module. Jeez. And I'd assume that this can receive commands from the house wiring because it does this. I'm breaking the module trying to get it out of here. This is ridiculous how tight this is. Okay, lads, this is a little bit ridiculous. Okay, so there's the polarized lamp module. I'm assuming this all makes sense very soon as we delve into this. And this is the very substantial remote control, which takes AAA batteries. So there you have it. That's a hefty remote. I guess that it's meant for you to put on your keys. You're not going to confuse it with your car's key fob because they're generally not this big, but if you have one of those GM cars with the ignition that goes straight into the dash, that's part of the recall, you put this thing on there, it's going to be triggering, it's going to be pulling that key down so it turns off. Because that's the crux of the recall. If you have heavy keys, keychains, what have you, it sits actually in the dash. It goes straight into the dash, the key does. So this is the key, you put it in the dash. And it sits at such an angle that if the keys are heavy enough to pull it down, it will shut your car off because it has enough force to do that. And then you'll lose braking and steering and potentially have a very serious crash if you're in the exact wrong moment that it happens. And this, to me, with batteries in it, I would think that would be heavy enough to pull that down. Maybe not by itself, but combined with your other keys. And I assume this controls 2 devices, which is interesting. So this is claiming 15-minute setup. So should I have a timer that from when we start to set it up? There's nothing else in here, so set that aside. Bring over our computer here. So set that and that to the side. And I guess that this receives signals, or this sends signals, receives signals. It's a transmitter. Herp derp. Pull this out. And I would suppose that this would need to be close enough to your computer to then be able to send signals over the wiring to the house, which is why, I mean, it's got a long enough, probably a long enough cord that it won't need to be all that close. You've got one across on the wall adjacent to your computer, you're probably going to be okay. That's if you're going back to 1996 to buy one of these, which I would assume, if you are, you're probably not going to tell anybody because, I mean, I know I'd be hounding you for information on how you figured how to do that. Which, it's interesting that this is blue, because that's generally for VGA inputs. So, in, shouldn't have any problem doing that. It's not going to interfere with anything being plugged in early. It's difficult to do this while you're holding the camera. I'll say that much. It's an interesting color, and I don't. Yeah, it is going. Just a lot of slack there. All right. So we shall begin by, yeah, that's a great freaking game series. If you have not played Leisure Suit Larry, and you're over the age of 18, you're missing out. At least on a few of the games. The new ones aren't terribly great. Love for Sale, I believe, is the last one of the old series. And anything after that, maybe I'm speaking of turn. I think Love for Sale is actually a new one, which was terrible. But I'm not sure offhand. I'm probably speaking out of my rear end again. So I don't hear it spinning up. So let's check this out. Let's see what happens here. We have to remember to click intro.exe and not setup.exe. So here's our ActiveHome CD. Intro. See, there's no setup.exe. Bastards. They screwed up. Let's see what it does. We've not plugged anything in yet. Nothing's plugged into the wall. Let's just see what the software says. Okay, there we go. 16 colors. Got the sound up, so. Yikes. This is taking me back. Okay. Home Control Assistant. Home Automation Catalog. Install ActiveHome software. Oh, it's animated too. That's cute. Home Security. Okay, so let's take a look, I guess, at the manual to see where we start. Because I would assume you would just plug the control module in first. This deal. Which we can, because I've got it. I've got an outlet over here on the wall that goes to the home wiring. I wonder if it has any problem with surge protectors, because I have a surge protector over here in my. I could probably put it in here. That cup is for holding screws and such. So we can start here. I'm assuming those AAA batteries are not mission critical. They're probably for just battery backup. But we'll put some in anyway, just to appease it. Oh, these plastic things that they encase batteries in when they put them in packaging, it's just... I know probably nobody else in the world has ever had trouble with these, but I always seem to have the most difficult time. I wonder if these are even good. I mean, they've been sitting in the package for... Well, if this came out in 1996, it's 20 years. Because this is 2016, and I can count. Alright, so we'll plug the RJ11 in right now. Carefully. My workbench is not the cleanest. This is a visual representation of my mind. Most times. Shit just strewn about. And it's nice that it's got a pass-through, so I don't lose out there. So, I wonder if I have to do any setup here, COM1, COM2, whatever. Let's take a look. I believe it's just COM1, COM2. Wow, that was interesting. Properties. Come on, I hate this mouse. But I don't have a PS2 mouse. Alright, let's see. The good old days of non-plug and play. So COM1, that's our only choice. So all right, let's get into it. Let's install the ActiveHome software. Clicky clicky. All right. Set this. Okay, come on. ActiveHome setup. Welcome. It's irritating. It decided to go to sleep on me. Never. Actually, 3 hours is probably fine. I'm talking to my laptop. All right. So, what we have is we're going to set this up, I guess, in Program Files Home Control. It's interesting. Because it's ActiveHome, it's not Home Control. It has to replace create backup file. What's it going to replace? Config.sys in 1996? I guess that makes sense. I don't need backups. Yes, let's add them to the start menu. Currently, ActiveHome defaults to COM2. Do you want to change this setting? Note the COM port will be assigned. Let's go ahead and change that setting because we know it's COM1. We only have a COM1. I guess it assumes that you have a modem or something. To use all the ActiveHome features. No, we don't want to do that because this already starts up slower than freaking molasses anyway. So let's just err on the side of caution. So far, this is actually fairly speedy. It probably is just very slow when it boots, and is does all right with 8 megs. Which I'm trying to think if I think 4 megs was a lot back in 1994-ish, and then 8 megs was a lot in 1997. And probably 16 megs was a lot back in 97. I'm trying to think back because I remember thinking about memory in the mid 90s. My grandfather had a really nice 486 computer back in like 1994. He always would buy the nicest computer he could possibly get, or at least near the top of the range. Now I don't know if I need to view the README file. Probably just states the same things that the manual does. So he would always buy the nicest computers, and I remember he had Windows NT 4 and he had a domain in his house. I guess there wasn't really any big reason why. He just wanted to play with the networking, which is cool. Because I got to learn a little bit about domains and differences between that and a work group and all that stuff. What is it doing? We're just sitting here. What are we doing? Are we just locked up? Are we... There's no CD activity. We're just sitting here. All right, folks, let's get this stuff together. Okay, I'm losing patience. I can't imagine it's doing anything important. We are officially input inhibited, folks. This is why we can't have nice things back in 1996. This is why Windows, the NT kernel was invented, all of this kind of crap, because it just unceremoniously has stopped. There's no visual reason as to why, and it doesn't want to do anything. So, I mean, I still have mouse pointer control, but it doesn't... Do I have a start menu? Oh no, we have an hourglass, folks. Down here, we have an hourglass, but we can apparently... So it was just doing whatever the hell it wanted to. System must be restarted. Okay, let's go ahead and restart and whatever. Can I click it? Yes. Not terribly impressed so far, folks. But it's probably more this computer than the software. I should probably find a way to upgrade the RAM in this. But I don't really care enough to do that. Interestingly enough, this looks to have a microphone too. I love that background. That was always my background I used when I had my Packard Bell. This is a pretty nice little laptop. I had a buddy who bought one of these off of eBay, and I wondered why at the time. I guess it was a decent enough laptop for when he bought it, but for what he wanted to do with it, it was probably just gaming and word processing. And I think it was a Pentium 2. This is just a Pentium. This is not a Pentium 2. No MMX, folks. Designed for Windows 95, though. So it's MPC compliant. Focus. There we go. So I haven't been keeping a timer, but sorry, I just wanted to listen to that. I have not been doing a timer. I don't know what this is because the battery doesn't hold a charge. So, which is it as it is wont to not do. I would not have expected this computer to hold a charge at all. The hell was I saying? Oh, I've not been keeping a timer. So I'm going to put a timer, probably superimpose a timer somewhere. And because it said 15 minutes, up and running in 15 minutes. So far, I think my computer is the limiting factor in that equation there, in that time estimate. So I'm assuming this is the start menu. No, this is our F drive. This is our ActiveHome disk, which I'm assuming we don't need anymore. So this is just wasting time. So they should have put an asterisk on the box. 15 minutes if your computer's not a gigantic POS, which this installation of Windows 95 is. It's junk. It needs to be reimaged, which I will probably not do because I only have it to play DOS games. As you can see, launch Leisure Suit Larry. Let's go ahead and launch our ActiveHome. Assuming I can find the mouse pointer, it disappears. This looks nice on camera, but it looks way worse in person. It's interesting how nice this looks. It looks very rich. It is not. It is lying to you. So we'll bring up the ActiveHome. Can I click it? Can I do anything? Are we? Yeah, we're grinding still. Hard drive light is solid. Is it going to do anything? Actually, I've decided I'm not putting a timer on this because it's pointless with how slow this thing is. Hello? What are we doing? Did I overwhelm it with the ActiveHome software? Oh, I have a little hourglass, a mini hourglass. Can we do it? Yes, we can. Still sitting here. Perhaps more RAM would have sped this up. I probably could have combed the startup various points that you can set startup programs. Oh, here we have action. Wow, that's actually cool. That background is now, it looks very psychedelic. What the fuck? What the fuck was that? Wait, I'm intrigued enough to close this out and wait another 10 minutes and find out what the hell that just said. But I can't. What the heck? Okay. So this is already bad because it only has one battery. What are you doing? Why are you putting... You have one battery that's already in there, yet you're holding another battery as if you were going to put it in on top of that one. Am I supposed to be removing another one? At least I've got this done. I've got this done right according to this diagram. I've put the batteries in. I've plugged it in to the serial port. Plugged the RJ11 in. And I guess that's to plug in another device that I'm going to be using. I don't know if that's controlled or if that is a just a pass-through to allow electricity through to plug another item in. I don't know. We're going to click that and assume, oh, okay. So, it's giving us directions. Not terribly clear. I guess, okay, I see. But why is it telling us to set that first? So, we'll grab this module. We'll do it as it asks us. So we have A. So this is going to be A. Let's see. What can we plug in that will provide us with some feedback? What can I plug in? Think this through. I don't have anything to plug in. All right. Here we go. All right. I need a power adapter. Should do it. Center negative, as most musical instruments are. A little lesson there, folks. Never plug a barrel cord in without checking the polarity first, because most musical instruments are center negative. That's for, I believe, grounding purposes in a live atmosphere. So, this was not well thought out. Well, okay, it's not polarized, so we should be good plugging this in. So we're going to plug this in right here. And extend the antenna. Oh, that's just cool. That's just cool. I have a very, I have a fixation for tactile feedback, and that's just cool. That has an antenna that you can extend. An aerial, I guess, if you want to be all British about it. So, we will plug this into our horrendously unsafe outlet here in my basement. In my creepy basement. What is this? What is this going to? Oh, that's going to the laptop. So we are already having a good time here with outlets. Can I plug it in upside down? No, I can't. We've hit a wall. Alright, so we're going to switch this. Can we switch this? No, we can't. This isn't good. Okay, I have another outlet over here. It will increase the length of this wire. So I have another outlet over here. And then we'll plug this in over here. It's tangled now, of course. Can we do it? Too much junk. Junk. Damn thing. Alright. So. Wow. Okay. That is a relay. Listen to that. Alright, so we're watching this. It'd be nice if the volume was up. Come on, where's the volume? Here we go. Okay, what is the issue here? What the flip? Got lights. We don't have anything. No music. I believe I had this problem when I first got this. Why won't you play? Okay. Two can play that game. So screw that thing then. I don't have time to deal with it. I will get something. But in the same sort of vein, a freaking larger one. This is the Yamaha PSR-22. This was a thrift store find. It's not in bad condition at all. I bought this specifically because of this, which does not appear to work in the least. It does not appear to have any effect on the sound whatsoever. I'm sure that there's some sort of configuration I'm missing. I'm sure that there's some setting that has to be fooled with for that to work properly. But I just have not had the, I have not yet had the patience to screw with it. So, this, despite my previous warnings, is actually center positive, which I'm glad I didn't just plug. The bad thing is, what I thought was going to be bad was when I encountered this piece of equipment, it had a barrel plug plugged in here. You can't see that at all, can you? Into this little hole. That is the mounting bracket, the mounting hole for the bracket for the music stand that would assumedly go on the back of this. So somebody had plugged a tiny little barrel into this with one of these at the end. It was a wallboard, trying to get it to work. And I thought for a second, wow, somebody must have just blown that up because they probably tried to plug it in and they ruined it, because if you plug in something with the wrong polarity, you let the magic smoke out. As I was speaking in the previous video about the beta player. The magic smoke had disappeared from the beta player, and I was very lucky because that did not happen. Now, let's... I am not a pianist in any sense of the word. I can do that, and I can sort of play. Like, if I really wanted to, I could play something realistically. I could play something if I practiced it, but I can't just rattle off Bach or whatever. But this is a cool, you can hear the retroness of it, which is why I thought it was, I didn't even hear it, I just picked it up. I assumed it was only like $5 or something, so it was like, if it's not doesn't work, $5 down the drain, or I can maybe fix it. But I thought it was really cool, and I don't think this is one of the ones with the YM2612, I think, chip in it that is from the Sega Genesis or whatever. But it sure sounds. That key doesn't work. It sounds retro cool. So, but we're going to now. You can see the light there. And of course, I'm way too far to do this. Alright, you can see the light. Click it, it goes off. So I'm actually pushing the button on that power supply right now. So, it's on. So that's A. So, back to this. Okay, let's turn the volume on that down because I want to push keys. Alright. Let's take a look. Can I find my mouse pointer? There it is. Alright. Clicking that off. Is it going to provide us with something else? Okay, no. Powerline communications interface initialized successfully. So, that is currently now on. It just clicked it off. We have no light. So, a little bit of a delay there. We have light. So, it works. I guess that is, without my jabbering, probably about 15 minutes. Sweet. So, and as you can see, there's all kinds of... This is a very, very Windows 95-esque program. Go ahead, okay. Let's expand this out some. Lots and lots and lots of buttons. What does each button do? Nobody knows. Lamp module. Wall switch module. Three-way wall switch module. Screw-in lamp module. Oh, that's cool. So, assuming... So, this works over... This would work over the power line, so I would assume a screw-in lamp module would work very well because it's just coming right off the power line. That is actually very neat, and almost it makes me consider picking more X10 stuff up because it's probably A, pretty cheap, and probably pretty darn useful. So, I know that there was one other YouTuber that was doing a video on one of these, and it didn't quite go as planned. And I was disappointed because I could not find anything where anybody had unboxed a brand new system and then set it up from scratch to the point where something actually worked. I know that I've seen plenty of working ones. I'm interested in this. So, and as you can see, there's a switch in there that you can, I'd assume, change, which one of those interfaces. And this comes with one lamp module, which we'll plug in a second, and we'll plug it into that, because I have a lamp plugged into that. It's exactly what it's for. Oh. Okay. Try to put in the batteries the wrong way. There we go. So, wow, it is a, and I'm surprised that this foam. Has not deteriorated at all. It looks like. I mean, this is 20-year-old new old stock stuff. So, yeah, it works. So we have this off now. So it doesn't reflect. Oh, it does reflect that in the software. It did. So I'm pointing it. I don't have to point it in any certain direction. I'm just pointing it to be clear as to what I'm doing on the screen. So I'm hitting off. It happens on the relay immediately. The software just takes a second, and boom. That's actually really neat. I've had this sitting on my shelf for a year, and we'll go ahead. We'll look at this. So this is on, and it's off. So this is so there's two different. You can control two different devices from this. It's a little bit too bulky and heavy for me to consider adding it to my keys, because I already have a bunch of crap. I have 2 cars worth of keys on it, and I'm not sure that I know of a use for this, other than maybe turning the light on and off. And I don't know what the range is, so let me back up a little bit. I wonder if it uses the power lines as sort of antennas. But I mean, it's RF. I'm not terribly well versed on that sort of what exactly is the can I say what I'm trying to say without sounding like an idiot? Probably not. I'm not well versed in how powerful RF is. What we're going to do now is take this lamp module, okay, so house A. Okay, that makes a little more sense. House A. You can have up to, it looks like P for the house, and unit 1. So A1 is my appliance. Can I change that? I can. Let's change that to Yamaha PSR 22. As if anybody would hook up their X10 to their keyboard. Lamp 1. Because I'm going to hook this up. This is just a freaking Target, Walmart lamp or whatever. We're going to hook it up, and I can't do this. Okay, so I can do this the way I want. So I'm unplugging it. You can see the plug right here. I'm going to piggyback it on this because this is polarized and I can't flip it upside down. I'm going to piggyback it on this and plug this in to lamp module, and it's on. So we have this on now. So the remote doesn't control it. So, and this is off now. Does not appear to be communicating with it. That's A2, but we didn't set this at all. We didn't change that. And I completely forgot about it, even though I was just talking about it. So, let's do that. Do I have my terribly unorganized tools? But, alright, let's switch that. Focus, 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 focus. I'm just going to switch it to 2. So, switched it. Is still not sort of communicating, but I think that it requires a bit of a... Thought I turned the volume down on that, sorry. Alright. So that's on. Boom. And there is no audible sound to that at all. It does not have a relay that you can hear. Okay, the dimmer does not appear to function, and I would imagine it would, since this is a CCFL bulb and not a normal incandescent. That's an annoying sound, folks. Why? I guess they needed some sort of feedback. Huh. It took a second. But I flipped... Oh, wow. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, that was weird. I don't know if that was something, an artifact. I saw blinking. So I turned the dim all the way down. It's all the way down now. Yeah, you can just see it blinking right there. You see that? At the very bottom of the bulb, it's blinking. So if I'm turning it on, I turned it on because the switch here, once you pull the dim all the way down. Once you pull that dim all the way down, it acts like it's off. But when I turned it off manually, I did not see that blinking. So I'm clicking it on. Click on. There we go. Okay, so I'm clicking it on. Or I have clicked on. It's on. So I'm going to click off again. Just turn it off. It's still doing it. Maybe that's just the bulb discharging or something. I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but let's turn that on so we can get our light back. So, that's very cool, actually, and it works as expected. And very well, to be honest. Can I turn it off with the remote? I can turn it off with the other remote, with the other button on the remote. So, that's actually really cool. And, like I said, works pretty much as expected through the serial interface. I'm actually pretty impressed with that. Demo macro 1, huh? Okay, let's have some fun. Virtual wiring. Okay, so I'm assuming I have to start up here. Can I do anything with this? Do I have to right click it? What's this? Okay, that's completely useless. It does nothing. It turned my lamp off, but it didn't really. So let's turn that back on. I would assume that you have to go into one of these menus. And tools. Reconnect. Wow, there's a lot of stuff you can do with this. Monitored house code. Preferences. Okay. Set interface clock. Battery life. Well, let's see what battery life says. It's probably going to say very low. Click on. Change and configure it. Oh, it doesn't actually monitor the battery life. It's just an oil life monitor, basically. You set it, you reset it, and it goes for the equivalent of 3,000 miles for one of these battery sets, and then just says, oh, you're out. Please change your oil or your battery or whatever, you know. So it's not very smart. Okay, modules, lamp module. Okay. So there's a lot of these. I bet you they still sell these things, and they're probably still compatible with this system. Just because of the way it works via RF and house wiring and all that kind of stuff. So that's a thing, actually. It's a very sort of complicated thing, but in a nerdy sort of satisfying way. A nerdy sort of this is fun to tinker with kind of way. We made a little bit of a mess here, but that was an interesting setup. This is going to be a self-contained video. There's not going to be any other videos associated with this. I've got a couple other projects I'm working on. Working on getting belts for these. Shut up. And I'm still working on getting the PowerBook a little bit more up and running. I haven't done much with it because honestly I borrowed the SSD out of it for something else. But thank you, X10 ActiveHome. That was a relatively interesting jaunt. I'm going to probably fool around with this some more and try to increase its usefulness because actually if I can control my house lights outside from my car with that, that's actually pretty useful. I don't know, there's probably some really cool stuff you can do with this that I just have not thought of, and I probably won't think of because I'm not all that clever. And we did not even fool with this at all. And it's probably something I'm going to have to read up on, because I'm assuming it's just a remote, like a universal remote you can set up that it controls all your stuff, and they want it to, you know, be able to control your TV. If you're going to be turning your TV on and off from your computer, you're going to want to change the channel and stuff from it. So, but maybe I'll make a separate video of setting this up, and we'll have some fun with that too. But this is TechThings. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch, and hopefully you enjoyed yourself as much as I did. So we'll see you next time.